Hello and welcome to the DrivingMaul show here on New Zealand Sport Radio. Hi, I'm Paul and I'll be your host this evening, flying solo on this one. So it's probably going to be a pretty short one, to be honest, rather than the normal hour. Yes, we've jumped around. It's Thursday rather than a Tuesday, but work got in the way. And then yesterday at 8 p.m, we had the New Zealand Rugby Awards. And so it didn't feel like the right time to be broadcasting at the same time as that. So I knocked it back a day to Thursday. We'll have a quick look at those awards. And we've also had a player re-signing as the World Rugby Awards we'll check in on as well, that finished up last week. It's called a week over those, isn't they? As well as we might have a quick chat about how the media treats players as well. For supporters of New Zealand Sports Radio, you can check out the special that I've done for Euros only with Brad from the Standoff Show. And we have a chat about the whole furore around Geordie Barrett and whether he might go and play for the Warriors in the NRL. Look, clearly it's media taking stuff out of context and blowing it all up, but it's still a fun theoretical chat to have. And we talk about about where he could play and all of that, sort of how it could possibly fit in. So go check that out. As I say, it's available for supporters of New Zealand Sport Radio. Head over to patreon.com/NZ Sport Radio to sign up for that. So yes, let's crack on then and recap on how the World Rugby Awards went this year. The Men's Player of the Year was Anton Dupont. The Women's Player Zoe Aldcroft from England. Seventh Player was Anne-Cecile Kofiani from Fiji. And the Men's Seventh Player of the Year was Marcos Montoya from Argentina. Now, those ones were all public votes, which I don't think is really a great way of picking picking sort of best players, because it tends to be on popularity more than anything else. But you got to say, not unsurprising that we had an English player in there, because on the women's side, considering how well they've done this year. The Fiji women did very well at the Olympics there. And also, Argentina also overperformed as well at the Olympics as well in the sevens. So, not upset particularly around any of those ones, but not I think the best way for World Rugby to continue doing those ones. They did the 15s Women's Dream Team of the Year, and this is dominated by England and France, with just one player in there from Canada, one from Italy, Stacey Fuller from New Zealand, the only black phone representative, and then also Jasmine Joyce, who also played in the sevens as well for Wales there in the 15 jersey. So, but quite rightly, dominated by English and French players in there, unsurprisingly. Onto the men's one, and where I can actually comment a bit more than I can around the women's one. Let's be honest, and let's just run through then the men's team of the year. So Wyn Jones from British Irish Lions and Wales at prop, with Malcolm Marks at hooker and Ty Furlong on the other side as well. Good evening to Simon, who's joining us in the live chat. Don't forget, these are always available on the live chat on Facebook, YouTube. You can watch on Twitter as well live, but you can't post comments on there. And then obviously it's available as a podcast as well. So two British and Irish Lions hookers, props there with a Springbok hooker in between. Maro Toji and Evan Etzebeth are in the engine room, with Sia Khaleesi in the 6 jersey. Now, a bit of controversy on that one, but those first 6 players, all from the British and Irish Lions tour to South Africa. When you add in Mapimpi and Am and Stuart Hogg, you've got 9 players out of the 20, out of the 15 are all from the British and Irish Lions tour, which isn't surprising really. That's been the biggest, that was the kind of biggest, I guess, piece of or biggest tournament this year. But we've got Sia Khaleesi at 6, Michael Hooper at 7, and Arnie Surveyor at 8. Now, Arnie has been playing 8, obviously, but it does appear like they've picked 3 open sides there, really, haven't they? Whilst Khaleesi does wear the 6 jersey, that's because the open side in South Africa wears the 6 jersey, and the blind side wears the 7 jersey. So, yeah, I know, a bit of controversy there as to whether you're allowed to pick both Sia Khaleesi and Michael Hooper in there. I'm not saying either of them don't deserve to be. They've both been fantastic players this year. But, yeah, it's a little bit of a controversy on that one. DuPont, obviously, player of the year. Unsurprisingly, he's in the 9 jersey, with the 10 jersey going to Bowden Barrett there. Interesting one on that. But I think if you think about the other fly halves, I think any of them have really stamped their authority on the game this season. The other piece of controversy, I think, possibly Samuel Karevi in there in that 12 jersey. Look, possibly is the best 12 in the world, but really didn't play much rugby at all, did he? He played like 5 games for the Wallabies this year, but anyway, still a cracking player. We talked about Am at 13, and then the Pimpy and Stuart Hogg already, but rounding out that back 3 is Will Jordan in the 14 jersey, a player who allegedly got dropped for not following the game plan at one point for the All Blacks. But yeah, cracking player, seems to have a long future. But we've said that about a lot of young wingers. Now, he's more of a fullback than a winger, but also it'd be interesting to see how he fits in to that All Black environment and how long he's around for. But at the moment, yeah, it looks like he's got a very, very good future ahead of him. But so 3 All Blacks in there. So with Arnie at 8, obviously captaining for the first time this year. Bowden Barrett's coming back from Japan, and Will Jordan. There's a service award and in there for Jacques Laurens, who I don't know anything about. World Coach of the Year goes to Simon Middleton, the England women's 15s coach. It was a very good selection there. Obviously, a bit of controversy in that one, the fact that Ian Foster and Dave Rennie were both in there as also in line for that. But as well as Alan Bunting and Corey Sweeney, who were the Blackburn Sevens coaches, but we'll talk about them later. Breakthrough player, Will Jordan, and obviously he was in that 15s one there as well. And international men's try of the year went to Pinot from France. The women's one from Emile Boulard, also from France there. Now, one that did surprise me, though, was the World Rugby Referee Award going to Andrew Cole, who from Australia, not someone I've sort of remember or heard of as a referee. Perhaps I should have done. But there we go. So this one is for long-term service to the game and refereeing. So there we go. Not just refereeing. I always thought it was being one of the referees on, basically the international panel. But clearly not on that one. Yeah, and October Wright says, one of these needs to work out a deal with Karevi's Japanese club. He is pivotal to the future success. Yeah, he does seem to be, doesn't he? He's a cracking player, and really has grown into that 12 jersey game. Previously, he'd been good at 13 when he was with the Reds before heading over to Japan. But Karevi alongside Kieran Durrani didn't kind of work when they tried it previously. Now, obviously, that's the players outside him are less battering rams than the Kieran Durrani or the K-Train used to be. So the different balance there in the centres now, and it's working out really well. And he's right there, Nocturnal Rights. One of these needs to figure out what, not just him, but also obviously Quade Cooper and other players up there as to how, as to when they aren't available for international rugby in that one. So that's just a brief overview of the the World Rugby Awards, and we'll switch it now to New Zealand, where we had the New Zealand Rugby Awards last night. A lot more of them in this one. Referee of the Year is Ben O'Keefe. in that one. And so you're always going to get people who are controversial about this one, but yeah, he's one of the top referees here. I'll be honest, around these next sort of couple around the sort of volunteer of the year and Steinlager, Slaver, so I'm not really sure what those are all about. So we'll skip over those sort of ones. But the age grade player of the year, Josh Lord, look, unsurprisingly, since he got called up to the All Blacks on the end of year tour, look, he's had a cracking season playing for the Chiefs, and also, I say, then on for the Taranaki, and then also for the All Blacks. So unsurprising that he picked up that one. Heartland Champion Player of the Year, Willie Wright. Yeah, I'm from South Canterbury. I didn't watch enough of that there really for that one. Not too much. I thought Justin Marshall would be being ref of the year. Yeah, look, when Justin Marshall knows what the laws of rugby are, then we can perhaps even think about him being ref of the year. But yes, there we go. Dwayne Monkley medal went to Stephen Perifetta from Taranaki. Look, Taranaki had a fantastic NPC season. He had a very good season with them, playing both 10 and 15. So yeah, great, really behind that one. The Feo Famasili medal, which is the best player. Also, the Dwayne Monkley medal is the best player in the NPC. The next one is the best player in the Farah Palmer Cup. This one goes to Crystal Murray of Northland, who's also got herself into the Black Ferns this year. Now a dual international played representing New Zealand Rugby League as well. Someone interviewed a couple of years ago up there in Northland. Cracking player, and great to see her development in the game and how well she's been playing. Really great ball carrier, as you'd expect, having come over from rugby league, and great pace for a prop. She even played a bit of sevens for. Then had a sevens tournament ahead of the Olympics down in Wellington. So cracking. You don't see many props doing that, do you? National Coach of the Year, Ross Filippo at Waikato. Yep, straight talking guy. Had a great season with Waikato, but only lost one game all season on the way to winning the championship. Obviously, Neil Barnes for Taranaki. He won all his games, didn't lose a single game, and obviously, but couldn't get promotion because of COVID this year. So, a bit of a controversial one there. The fact that Neil Barnes didn't get it, but Ross Filippo did have a cracking season, and cracking coach, a good guy to talk to, as is Neil Barnes as well, to be honest with you. New Zealand Coach of the Year, Corey Sweeney and Alan Bunting for the Black Ferns Sevens. Absolutely, they've been the most successful team this year, with the Olympic gold, obviously, in the sevens, with the Black Ferns obviously struggling with those 4 losses on the bounce, with the All Blacks losing 3 games this year. They're definitely the team that has performed the best at the national level. Super Rugby Player of the Year goes to Richie Moanga for Canterbury, but obviously for the Crusaders. And a guy who does make that Crusaders team click. The Tom French Memorial Maori Player of the Year goes to Sarah Hanini for the Black Ferns and Manawatu. And the All Blacks Sevens Player of the Year goes to Scott Curry. Sarah Hanini also picks up the Black Ferns Sevens Player of the Year, as well as the Kevin R. Tremlin Memorial Player of the Year as well. So Sarah Hanini picking up a bunch of awards there. That's a cracking season for her. Black Ferns Player of the Year goes to Kennedy Simon, and Arnie picks up the All Blacks Player of the Year. Look, being in the World Rugby's 15, clearly he would be one of the big names. I mean, Geordie Harrelson had a cracking season in there, but Arnie captaining the side for the first time this year as well, deserving of that award. Now, one that I've seen a couple of jokes about, but National Team of the Year for the Crusaders. Now, when you think Taranaki didn't lose a game all season, and whilst the Crusaders went well in the Super Rugby Aotearoa, they didn't go so well in the Super Rugby Trans-Tasman, not making the final of that one. So Yeah, interesting one there. The Crusaders got National Team of the Year. I think the Naki deserved that one with their unbeaten season. Something that we did not see coming. Pardon me, they've had a good roster down there for a while, but I mean, they lost players like Sean Wainui, who in the off season, and obviously players like Vaai and Josh Lord were away with the All Blacks, but still had a perfect season. And after a couple of disappointing seasons for them down there, Neil Barnes really did turn them around. So, yeah, don't agree with the national team of the year for the Crusaders, to be honest with you. I think that I say, yeah, that down there was better, or even Waikato in the Farah Palmer Cup, picking up beating Canterbury for the first time in a long time in that one as well, would have been another deserving winner for me ahead of the Crusaders. I should have a quick look so I can see who was nominated for Team of the Year. Was Crusaders, South Canterbury, and then Waikato, Farah Palmer Cup, and NPC teams in there. So Naki not even really being nominated for Team of the Year. So yeah, don't agree with that one at all, to be honest with you. So that's the awards wrapped up there on that one. Yeah, someone agrees with me in the live chat that Taranaki should have got Team of the Year. So the Glitzy affair didn't really obviously just because of COVID couldn't be the proper event that it normally is. But hey, at least we had them this year. Other stuff then. Cody Taylor has re-signed for the All Blacks and the Crusaders through to 2025. Another long-term signing following on the heels of Arnie Surveyor and Sam Cane, who have inked who have sort of done deals recently with that one. Also, Joe Moody apparently has put in has had a contract extension beyond 2023. Joe Moody, I'm a bit surprised at, to be honest with you. I don't think he's a player. Look, he's 33 now. With the World Cup in 2 years' time, obviously that would be 35. Yeah, getting a bit long in the teeth there for him. So interesting that he has got a longer extension. Other players like Patrick Tuipulotu, Ofa Tuangafasi, and Somasoni Tuakalo have all extended as well. So, yeah, Cody Taylor just saying how happy they are in New Zealand and comfortable there. And again, I guess reiterating what we kind of heard from Arnie around family being a big thing, and talking about how he was his wife and young family are all happily there. So interesting to see that one. Not sure about some of these long-term deals. Some of these players are on the downward slide. It almost guarantees selection. Look, with Cody Taylor, I personally think that that it's fine. Arnie Surveyor as well. I think they're both in the in the right part of their careers. Sam Cane, I guess the right time of his career. The only problem there with him, I would suggest, is clearly the number of long-term and big injuries he's had that have kept him out. So that would be the only concern around Sam Cane. But otherwise, I think a good signing. As Somasoni Tokilahu, obviously a young player, but Joe Moody, as you say, getting on a bit. Not a good choice for me. Patrick Tuipulotu is 28, so still he's got plenty of years in him. But we do have a lot of really good young lots coming through with Vaai and Josh Lord in there. I think he got his signing in just at the right time. And let's be honest with you, even though Patrick has been playing well, captaining the Blues, showing that kind of leadership and improving, heading in the right direction. And then Ofa 29, 31, be 35 at the following Rugby World Cup. Yeah, not so okay, but so maybe he might not make it all the way to the following Rugby World Cup. But yeah, Joe Moody is the one there to me that stands out as being a bit of a bit wrong in that one. I don't see. Well, actually, we don't know how big the deal is, do we? I mean, if it's a small enough deal, and it's then fine. Having his experience around is good, but I can't see Joe Moody playing much All Blacks after the Rugby World Cup. To be honest, with that one. Some other news that has come out around all this, with Mark Robinson, the chief executive of New Zealand Rugby, coming out with some things. So last week we talked about the issues that Natalia Angramate had with the Blackfirds, and that fact that she had a mental breakdown on the Northern Tour. Initially the response at that point was that there would be an end of season review for the Blackferns. It would get dealt with as part of that. Mark Robinson is saying that they're taking it really seriously, and has announced a independent, or has announced a review into this side of things, with people from outside and inside rugby being on the panel. He says they're working on the remit of the investigation at the moment. Some of the stuff some of the kind of corporate speak that he sort of comes out of this, like we're understanding of some of the things that she would like to see as part of this work. With a huge amount of regard, a lot of work. This is talking about an investigation into the culture of the Black Ferns and calling it a piece of work. I'm not sure that I kind of like the way he talks about it, but perhaps that's just me on that one. But let's see what the review comes out with. He says that have more to talk about early next month. Now, early next month is January. However, how they expect to get much done between now and early January, with Christmas and New Year in there. Wow. Okay, that'll be interesting on that one. But hey, we'll just have to wait and see as to how that goes. But let's hope it is a proper review, and they're open with the findings of that review as well. Simon mentions there about in the live chat about Silver Lake, and yes, Silver Lake has just done a deal with the A-League in obviously the Australian football competition, and he said he'd be surprised if there's still interest in the All Blacks. Look, the All Blacks and the A-League are at different markets, and they've got enough cash to invest in both. So I don't think there's any problems with that. They'll be looking at the All Blacks as a global entity, whereas the A-League it will be more of a local thing that they're looking to grow, I would expect. So I don't see that as being, I don't see the A-League investment being something that would stop them wanting to invest in New Zealand rugby, and in particular the All Blacks. So that piece, I think, will still, I don't think that's will bear any impact on this one. If anything, it'll strengthen it, because they can then use whatever knowledge and information they've got from A-League and in sport, they can use it across to the All Blacks as well. So it's, in fact, there could be synergies and reasons for them to invest in both. Currently, it's quiet, and Mark Robinson does say that they're actually looking at strengthening New Zealand rugby's own commercial abilities or department, rather, but that the Silver Lake thing is not off the table, and says that Silver Lake has actually helped them a bit with with their commercials. This year they're looking at about breaking even, he said, but you've got to remember that also does include the sale of their stake in the Blues, which was to a local consortium. So there is, even if they have broken even, they've had to sell something to do that. So yeah, look, an improvement on the 18.7 million operating loss from the previous year, obviously, to to just about break even, but still not from the heady days of building up a rainy day fund or anything like that on that one. So I think that's most of the New Zealand kind of based news out there. Simon mentions there are rumours that Japanese top league might allow other Asian teams to be playing in it, possibly Korea, or I guess South Korea there, obviously, and maybe Hong Kong as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Singapore might also be in there. They were one of the teams, one of the places bidding for a Super Rugby franchise, remember, a few years back. So to me, that makes a lot of sense that if the Japan's well, it's not top league anymore, is it? They've got a new professional league that is kicking off. But if that league doesn't somehow merge in with Super Rugby, then expanding to South Korea and Hong Kong and potentially into China makes a lot of sense commercially on that one. And something I think that I thought Super Rugby should have been looking at doing 5 or so years ago. But it'll be interesting to see if that happens. Christopher Edward Bailey says that Hong Kong's pushed for years, but Japan hasn't been interested. Well, we'll see if how much of the rumours are coming from Hong Kong and how much rumours are coming from Japan, and how that one all pans out. I guess only time will tell with that one. I guess with that. Some of the stuff that I've been listening to. So I listened to the Attacking Scrum podcast, which is a Welsh podcast, a Welsh rugby podcast, and the tone of them, I think, has been interesting over the last last maybe 4 weeks or so. The initially, when the URC kicked off, they were very positive about it, very much looking at being I think it was a good step forward. Unfortunately, obviously, with the latest COVID pieces and the what do you may call it, I've gone blank now, and the closing of borders due to with South Africa, and travel restrictions meant that a whole bunch of teams, well, basically got stuck. Cardiff, the Scarlets, obviously got stuck in South Africa initially, and then also travelling back. I think one of their players might even still be there. And they also became much more negative about it. Hopefully they'll come around, but I still think the URC in the long run is heading in the right direction. It's got less games. It's got some proper marketing people in, rather the external in Rock Nation, rather than just old rugby people trying to do the same thing over and over again. So I'm still up on it, but I'm still positive about the URC in the long run. But it'll see how it all goes. On that one, as Simon points out, that Scarlet's been based in Belfast for a couple of weeks, and the UK will be lifting its travel restrictions soon. Yeah, look, I mean, as this variant, what we've had one report about the new Omicron, where it's called variant, is an MIQ here in New Zealand already. So look, I mean, there is as a number of people said at the time, just because South Africa found the variant doesn't mean it was only there. It's just that they were perhaps trying to look at it more than other ones. But there we go. I guess we'll also, on that sort of note, we're still waiting to see what will happen with Super Rugby and how the border restrictions between Australia and New Zealand will impact the start of Super Rugby Pacific, and actually the whole thing of it. So we're still no news really on that one. Lots of stuff I assume is happening behind the scenes, but nothing much being talked about in public. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that competition and how they handle that one as well. So yes, I mean, that's pretty much most of the things. I mean, there's Simon mentions that there is a Munster coach moving to Bath. That's true. And there's a whole bunch of stuff happening in Europe. I'll be honest, I'm been taking a little bit of a kind of break and a bit of a breather in this New Zealand off season. I've not been following everything that's been happening in Europe that closely. Obviously, the European Champions Cup and stuff has kicked off up there, but I can't remember. I've not looked at any of the results or anything, so I have taken a bit of a breather around some of that sort of stuff, and part of that's also due to launching some wooden kids toys, some toy stables that we're making and have been selling. So search for Kia Play on the old Choice platform if you want to have a look at those. And that's also been taking up a bunch of my time. But that's, to me, is most of the sort of rugby stuff. We're back next week with a kind of Christmassy sort of special. The standoff show will be back next week on Wednesday at 8 p.m. With Rugby League sort of Christmas roundup as well. So that's what's going on, and who knows, there might be a For Your Ears Only coming out as well next week. So hope you all stay safe. Hope you all have a cracking Christmas if you don't hear from me before then. And stay safe, folks.